Okay, let's be honest. Choosing insurance can feel like you're trying to navigate a maze, completely blindfolded. But in this explainer, we're going to hand you a map and a flashlight. We're going to turn that whole overwhelming task into a series of simple, really confident decisions.
You know that feeling, right? Where you're just paralyzed by all the confusing jargon and this endless sea of choices? Well, you are definitely not alone. That feeling of being totally overwhelmed is actually the #1 reason people just put off making these super crucial decisions.
But what if I told you there's a simple, repeatable process that works for any type of insurance? A system that just lets you cut right through all that noise and find the perfect policy for you every single time.
Well, today's your lucky day. We are about to unpack what we're calling a universal decision map. Think of it as a simple framework that works no matter what you're shopping for. Health, life, auto, you name it. It's designed to just strip away all that complexity and give you some real clarity.
And here it is, just 5 simple steps. This is the core of every single smart insurance decision. First, you assess your needs. Then, you determine the coverage amount. Third, you choose the coverage type. Fourth, you compare providers. And finally, you review and decide. So let's break down how this awesome toolkit actually works.
Okay, so that's the framework on paper. But how does it actually apply to the choices you have to make in the real world? Let's dive into each of these 5 steps, one by one.
All right, step 1 starts with you. Seriously, before you even think about looking at a single policy, you gotta assess your own unique risks. Ask yourself the tough questions. Am I the main breadwinner for my family? Do I have any chronic health issues? Is my car brand new or is it, a decade old? Getting honest answers to these questions first is absolutely the most critical part of this whole process.
Okay, on to the big question. How much coverage do you actually need? Well, for something like life insurance, you could use a quick and dirty rule of thumb, say 10 to 15 times your annual income. But if you want a much sharper calculation, there's this great tool called the DIME method. It's an acronym. You just add up your debt, the income you'd need to replace, your mortgage balance, and any future education costs. Simple as that. Step 3 is all about understanding the trade-offs, because there are always trade-offs. Let's take health insurance, for example. You've got an HMO, which usually has lower monthly premiums, but you're stuck with their network. On the flip side, a PPO gives you the freedom to see pretty much any doctor you want. But guess what? That freedom is going to cost you more. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, what do I value more? Lower costs or more flexibility?
Okay, now for a really critical rule in step 4. Whatever you do, never settle for the first offer you get. To make sure you're getting a genuinely competitive price, you really need to get quotes from at least 5 different providers. And hey, when you're comparing those quotes, you've got to look beyond just the price tag. I mean, of course, check the monthly premium, but also look at the coverage limits. And this is huge. Check the company's financial stability. A great way to do that is to look for an AM Best rating of A+ or higher. Just think of it like their financial report card. It basically tells you if they actually have the money to pay your claim when you need them. And finally, step 5. Before you sign on the dotted line, it's time for one last gut check. You just got to step back and ask yourself, does this policy really balance the cost with the specific needs I figured out way back in step 1? This is your final confirmation that it's the right fit, not just for your budget, but for your life. Okay, so you have the framework. Now let's add a few pro tips and point out some really common traps to avoid. These are the kinds of insights that can save you some serious money and, trust me, prevent a lot of future headaches.
Here is such an easy win. Always ask about bundling your policies. Like putting your home and auto insurance together with one company. This one simple move can often slice a good 15 to 25% right off your total bill.
Now, this might be the single most important thing to remember. The goal here is not to find the lowest price. It's to find the best value. Chasing that rock-bottom cheapest option, I'm telling you, it almost always leaves you with these dangerous gaps in your coverage that you only discover when it's too late.
And please, watch out for these common traps. First, don't just assume your employer's plan is enough. Second, don't just buy the bare minimum coverage your state requires. And third, don't forget to shop around every couple of years, because when it comes to insurance, loyalty, it rarely pays.
So, remember that confusing maze of options we talked about? Well, it's not a maze anymore. You are now officially equipped with the map and the compass. You've got the tools to navigate this stuff with total confidence.
So let's just lock in that single most powerful takeaway one more time. This 5-step framework. This is your repeatable process. It's your personal checklist for making a smart, confident insurance choice. Every single time.
Look, at the end of the day, insurance isn't just another bill you have to pay. It's the firewall. It's what protects everything you have worked so incredibly hard to build. You now have the tools you need to choose wisely. So the only real question left is, are you sure your current protection is strong enough?